Thank you for reminding me that my mic was on mute. Let me just talk all over again. Um, uh, Karan, thank you for joining, and everyone who's joining. Let me just say that today we will be drawing a fan art, and if you are just starting out, you will be thinking about how to develop a style, because you are seeing all these different artists with their unique style, but then you have no clue how to get started. So since you will be uh, since you will be here watching a lot of artists, and you'll be inspired by other artists, it's a good way to start to develop your style by studying a single artist at a time and slowly incorporating those elements into your style. And over time you will realize that the more artists you incorporate in your style, those are the small decisions that you make to improve your art, to take it to the next level, and you will realize that over time you will have developed a new style. So today what we'll be doing is drawing a fan art. Now this style that we'll be doing is not the usual style that I draw in, but I have a few examples of this artist that I recently discovered, and I even created an artwork using his style. So let me just show you how to study a style of an artist. So for everyone who's joining in, you can say hello in the comments and I will get to that. You can use anything. You can draw on paper today, or like me, I am drawing on Procreate, and using Procreate on my iPad. So that works as well. And if you create something today, share it with me on Instagram, and I'll be happy to share it with my community. Alright, so these are few of the examples which I have from an artist called as Bodnar, and this style kind of reminds me of a classic comic style. And this guy creates artwork, like all of his artwork is in this style, like most of it that I've seen. And it reminds me of the style of Mike Mignola, if you know, is the creator of Hellboy comics, and he has a similar style. But I really like this guy's style. He has a adds a bit of a caricature, like you see Darth Vader here, and the helmet is not his typical Darth Vader helmet, and neither is his suit, but then it's kind of a unique style. And then let's check out what elements this has. Like the the lines the lines, if you see, are very thick black lines. The shadows are completely black. He uses a lot of black shadows. Let me show you another one. This is Darth Vader again. This is some general. I don't know these characters, but you can notice the shadows are completely black, and it creates a stark contrast. Like if you see here, there's a light and there's the black shadow. There's nothing in between, and the lit areas are shapes created. So the contrast between the light and dark is the main element of this style. Also, if I zoom in here, he uses a small slight grain in the flat colors. So the colors lack shading. It's all flat colors here. uh, this artwork particularly has 1 2 3 4 5 colors, that's all. If I see Darth Vader here, he has just 1 2, and the background, so just 3 colors. So minimal use of colors. See, if you see here, there's 2 colors here of blue, the skin and the background. That's all the color he uses. Even this. Now another element of his style is this slight variation in this the black lines. And if a shape is too big, he creates this grit element with the dots here. You can see the grit. It shows slight wear and tear and doesn't make it all flat. even this is a highly detailed image and super comic book style, and completely black shadows and lit areas. And the backgrounds, I want to talk about the backgrounds. As you can see here, they don't have the black lines, they have this slightly colored lines which goes into the color theme. And if you notice, this whole artwork is of a single color theme. So this is all green, then this is all blue. So this is how you study an artist. And today we'll recreate this style. If you can see here, this is one of my artwork I did of Batman. I tried to replicate his style. If I go to some artwork like this, I use similar colors, I use similar line weights and dark shadows, and I guess this was my first attempt at doing this style. So today what we are going to do is create one more character. This is one of my favorites. I've drawn him before. This is Doctor Strange, but it in his zombie form. So you don't need to like this character like I do to draw it, but I am creating it as a fan art. And let me just take you through the process of how I use this character. I have some reference photos of him. So this character is a dark character, so this the style works with it, it will go really well. And I will be attempting to draw this character in the style of this artist. So I have these 4-5 references here. I kind of like this pose. So this is our main reference for the head and the pose kind of, but I am gonna vary it up as I go and create one unique artwork. Then you can see the hands. These are like skeleton formed hands, and 2 hands are here also. Then I like this composition, so it's slightly tilted, not just straight vertical and symmetric. So I like where this is going. And this is a photo from action figure, or not an action figure, a collectible figure. Even this is the collectible figure. So I have gathered these references. Let's just keep this as our main reference and start drawing. So what I have here is the same canvas that I used for the Batman. So just hide his layer. I have used dry ink and pure black. By the way, this canvas is 8 inch by 10 inch if you are following along, and 300 dpi. If you have any questions, I'll be looking at the comments box, so drop there and I will try to answer them. Divya Sri, hello, thank you for joining. Everyone, thank you for joining this live stream. I am gonna do a lot of explaining live streams like this, as well as I did a live stream about drawing in general, how to copy art. That was the last stream, so do check it out if you are into doing that. So I'm using the brush dry ink. You can find it in inking. This is it. I usually use the default brushes. So just to show, now this brush I won't be using for sketching. I just increase my size to maybe 15 to, yeah, this is thick enough. So this is the thickness of the line, and I have just created a outline, a border for my artwork. Now for sketching, I'll be using 6B pencil brush and some red color like so. So I like sketching in red just because it looks pretty, no real use. And in color, if you sketch, then the inking lines stand out more, instead of doing gray pencil on gray ink, black ink on gray pencil. So the first step of any artwork is doing the gesture. So I'm always using new layers. So this is my first layer here. Let me just delete this. So the gesture is where you block out a pose. So as I said, I'll be doing a slightly tilted version. So this is my main line of action. and the gesture is just blocking out the pose. So this will be my head. Just light scribbles I'm gonna use. And this as I'm doing it digitally, I'm going to manipulate this as I go to perfect the pose. This is the two legs here, and then there's a skirt element, waistcoat or skirt. Let me just see how the legs are, the shoes. So this is kind of how the shoes are going to be, and there's one center thing here. So as you can see, I'm using multiple references here to create my character, but it's not gonna be similar to one of them. I'm using the selection tool to just manipulate this. Maybe I'll use a slightly bigger head. A lot of my characters are bigger heads. I'm using the warp tool here to manipulate. Then on a separate layer I will draw the hands. Maybe the hand will be like so, and I will resize and manipulate this before moving on to the next phase, so that I know what I'm drawing. I'm using the 6B pencil here. Let's just see. I want this arm more below, and I like drawing extremer poses if I can. If you use multiple references, you won't get into the disadvantage of looking like a single reference. Let's just block out roughly where the arms are going to be, the skeleton arms. Let this go off screen, off the frame. Let's just take all the layers and maybe shift up the composition a bit. And I will change this arm to come inside the frame using the warp tool. This is just very rough thing that I'm doing here, and the skeleton arms are okay if they are out of frame. Vedant, hello, thank you for joining. Are you drawing along today? And maybe I will do the framing of the smoke with the smoke behind here. How's the pose coming around, guys? Let me just look at the other artworks. Just to be inspired. I think I will reduce the size of the head a bit. This time is not gonna be my style. I'm trying to do in some other artists. So let's take up all the reference that I can. It's fairly realistic proportions that this guy does in. Like if you see Batman here, the head is not too larger to his body, but yeah. I still want more energy in his arm. So we'll do a more extreme pose like so. Alright, I will move on to the next stage. I will reduce the opacity of this layer, and on top I will start with the sketching of the details. Let's start with the face. So the style that we looked at determines the proportions that we are doing, and also like the drawing stage doesn't matter too much, but the inking and the coloring, it will bring out the style. So for now I'll just do a rough sketch of this. If you know, Doctor Strange has this cheekbones which are greater than life, so let's exaggerate those a bit. This is gonna be a really quick sketch. I mean, the whole artwork is gonna be done in really quick. This is the eye line. I guess I'll do one more pass over this after I've figured out all the details. For the mouth, I think on the other one I have a better representation. This is a zombie Doctor Strange after all. So half of his mouth is open. This I'll put in shadow while coloring, inking. Let me exaggerate the face a bit. Elongate it more, enhance the shape. If you have any comments or questions for me, drop them in the box in the live chat. The scars will be sort of like this. Now the next thing is the torso. Let me just look up at the reference. This is a good reference for the torso. He has the shoulder pads or fins, what you call them, I don't know what you call them. I'm just gonna do a rough representation of his costume, and as I go I'm exaggerating a tiny bit, like the shoulders will be broader and the waist narrower. There's this ring here, just looking at the details from the reference. There's a double belt, then this flap that hangs on top. how's my drawing coming along, guys? Maybe this another flap will be hanging like so. Let's look at the other reference for his knees. I can barely see anything here. Let's go freestyle if you can't make out from the reference. And while coloring this, maybe the behind leg will be in black anyway, so this style gives room for skipping details. Let's just adjust a bit. So if you notice, when I was composing this artwork, this part is at the third here, so the character is so that it falls on a good point of composition, the point of interest. Another thing that we have here is this arms, the zombie arms over here. So I'm scribbling at this moment because I'll be adding the details in the next stage. Let's see his costume again. There's a line here. Alright. Let's do the arms. Maybe I will do it like so, or maybe not, but I want to add more to his fingers. And let's get it in frame. I'm still scribbling here until I figure out what I'm happy with. So instead of the clouds, I can draw skeletons below also. Let's see how that goes. Let's do the skeleton arms first. I have mapped out the positions, so just adding. These are going to be mostly black. I don't have to worry about so much details. Because mostly I'm copying the poses from the reference. If I wasn't doing this live, I would have taken more time to perfect the poses. But let's just finish this in this live to show you guys how I do these things. Rajesh, thank you for joining. You can always see this stream again and follow along later. My main goal for these live streams is getting more into the habit of teaching. I'm slowly trying to improve myself, trying to talk while I draw. It's pretty difficult, not a natural thing to talk while drawing, as I'm mostly doing this in silence. Let's see how this arm can be. It's okay if it goes off of the thing, of the border. I notice that the bones are visible, like the two separate bones are there. I'll make note of that later in the next stage. Let's draw some skulls below just to add to the composition. I have some reference here. As most of this will be in black, I will just scribble the positions and see how it goes later. Maybe there's a hand here. Just going freestyle for those. You will see how quickly this comes to life in the inking stage. Just marking all the details where they need to be in this stage. I guess everything is marked now. I will go over some parts of this again as a sketch stage. Let me just go back to our artist reference to see if I can do something, if I missed something. This This is a nice reference for the skull. I will manipulate some skulls to do that. Let's see. Rajesh says, by the way, I started with your creating characters ebook. So far, loving it. Will share my practice shortly once I get more comfortable. I am so happy that you guys are actually practicing from my book, and that just says that my mission to get for teaching has started, and I am super happy to see work that you guys do. So please share your work with me. See, this kind of skulls just give a new dimension to this. When you copy the style of an artist rather than directly from one image, you will realize like that is the way to do things, not just blatantly copy. That can be your first stage when you're learning copying from a single artwork, but after that, this is how you create something original. So here I am copying the style of the artist and not the actual art. I am creating my own artwork in this style. Trying to figure out how the skulls will look in different angles. Let's go back to our reference. There are some arm poses here. Just adding to the atmosphere. And I like the freedom digital art gives to manipulate these things. These skulls I won't be inking completely, they will be in half shadows. What else can we do? I would have gone over this again if I was inking traditionally because there's less room for error, but since we are doing it digitally, I can afford to just go in inking and see if I mess up, I can just manipulate it. I'm combining all these layers into one, reducing the opacity, the skulls also. A new layer, I'm using dry ink and maybe brush size 20. Keeping the brush thick because as we saw in this examples, the line work is quite thick. So if I see this particular thing, These kind of lines are fine. Let's keep this here and try to do this. Now first I'm going to do the line work and then put certain areas in shadows. And you will see how this artwork comes to life. Let's just put shadows where I know there will be shadows, like this black of the hair. That's looking all right. In a separate layer I'll do the facial features. I guess I'll put the eyes in black. So it's in deep eye sockets. And there's this scar going on the face. Inking is the most fun part of any drawing for me. This is where your drawing starts getting real. Let's see how his mouth is. We'll keep a bit of whites. Maybe I will change this hair a bit. Using the same brush to delete, by the way, in the eraser. Changing the hair to look more like Doctor Strange. That's better. Now let's start with the shoulders. I will add shadows later. This is just me inking for now. And the shadows will hide a lot of details. That's what I like about this art style. Let's look at this reference to do the costume. Just adding a slight wrinkle here and there to add some costume detail. Using references is a good way to not overlook details. Like you would see a lot of details that you would have missed if you weren't using a reference. Now I won't even draw a lot of this, just put it in shadows because I know it's gonna be dark looking at this tile. So let's just start putting things in shadows. But your silhouette needs to be on point for this. That's how you draw a leg, with most of it in shadow, and I'm keeping certain parts white so that when I add color you will know where the leg is. This leg will be in light. Your leg done. Now this skirt continues, the waistcoat continues behind it in this side. And this whole thing will be in black again. Let me know how this is going. Are you guys liking what you're seeing? I will draw the arms next, following this reference but using my pose, which is slightly different. Only the other arm is left. I'll use a separate layer to create all the background details, including the arms, the skeleton arms. Still using black. Let's create this split. I'm focusing on the silhouette here more than the actual fingers. Just focus on the shapes. Manipulating the shapes is the name of the game. The arms done. One more layer to do the skulls below. I had this guy in the foreground here, so let's just do that. Continuing with the skulls. Okay, let us start coloring now. Creating a new layer below everything, and I want to take colors from one of the artworks here so that I don't stray too much from the style. This one, the blue from this. So let's just copy and paste it here to pick the colors. It's not pasting. Let's try it again. There you have the artwork. Just keep it in corner to pick the colors. I will use this blue and just put the whole thing in blue. I'll duplicate my layer of the frame, put it way below everything else just to fill blue. So this is my base color. I'll darken the color a bit a new layer, and I will color this for the background below here. And these are the just flat colors now, so it's going to be pretty easy to color this piece. I'll use this lighter blue and even lighter one to do the skulls. I will change these colors around if I need, just looking at the reference again. But for now, let's get the colors filled. Place my color reference on top and below the rest, so it's easier for me to pick. I'll add the same blue over the highlighted areas of these skeleton arms. I'm leaving out the gaps. Now for the next, let's look at Zombie Stranger and how the colors are affected. Let's do this for the face. Then there's a red color, but I want to keep it in the zone of this guys, so what I'm gonna do is take the red, put it in a new layer and turn this down to maybe 50%, 40%. Pick this color as my red. Let's get back to the reference, and the red is here, and the things floating here of the skirt. For the blue, I just picked a blue from the reference and let us just put it in here. For now, coloring the hands in the same color of the face. Now I'm just blocking out these colors and I'll tweak them if needed later. I'm using the same brush. Money Makalai says, "Hi Rahul, hello, thank you for joining my stream. Hope you learned something today." Today we are drawing a fan art in a style of this artist that I really like. Oh, I missed the skull color on the arms above. So let's do that. I'll add two more colors to the mix. One is the brown here. So let's just darken this a bit, turn it a bit yellow and add a new color. This artwork is coming along really nice. All I need is a color for the gold. I'll use this for now. Normally I add highlights and shadows to my color, to my all my colors, so that it pops out the artwork, but today I'm going to follow this style. The shoes are also going to be this blue. The hair is left. Maybe the hair will also be brown. And the other part is grey. Let's just make the eyes red for now. Filling up some gaps that I'm seeing here. Now let's refer to some of the art to see what I have missed. I have missed some black spots here and there, so let's go do that just to give it more grit and texture. I'll add some shadows. And dots. This is the finishing touches for the art. Then I'll tweak the colors again. See how much texture these little dots add. Let's find out what else I can do. I can add these smoke elements. Just to give some grit and feel. These are the minor touches that we are adding just to enhance our art. So if you have seen this movie, this is where Doctor Strange raises the dead, like goes into the body of the undead Doctor Strange. So these tiny lines are a neat touch. Maybe I will darken the skin color a bit. It's too white. Since I like my art a bit like this shadow, there's a shadow layer. So let's put a shadow layer on top. See how that goes. I'm using light purple here. And I've just reduced the opacity a bit. So here I am blending my style with this artist style. I guess he uses shadows too, just not that much. I'm creating these shadow shapes. This adds a nice touch. Yes, I am using a second gen Apple Pencil because I have this Apple iPad Pro. I used to have the basic iPad till last year. Let's see where else I can put shadows. Maybe here. You can break up shadows like this just to show the um, that the surface is not smooth, it's broken up. Just adding a tiny bit of shadow like this gives dimension to the objects. Is it coming close to the style? The last bit will be adding this grit, the noise texture on top. But for now, let's continue. I have a signature here as well, so that's my signature there. Let's darken the background more, but as you darken you have to reduce the saturation. Let's review how this one looks now. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. If you have any final questions for me, please go ahead and write in the chat box. I'm just thinking over. Okay, so I have this layer on top of everything, and this gives a final texture. Let me just show you how I created this layer. On a new layer, I added a solid maybe white, then added noise. Does white have noise? No. Maybe I'll add gray and then add noise to this. And I'm getting no noise here, surprisingly. Oh, the noise is at 0%. So you hold and slide, and this is your noise. So this is your noise texture, and you put this on color dodge. But then, as you can see, this is too bright. If you reduce it opacity to maybe 20%, you'll get a result. I'll compare this with what I have here. It has a similar texture. If you are not getting enough noise, you can try to do it with black. So this had black in it. Just creating a new layer, adding black, then adding noise, and I'll adjust the noise and put it on color dodge and reduce the opacity until I'm happy with it. Maybe 30%. That gives a nice texture of printed comic kind. Let's see here when I'm zooming in. I guess I'm done for this live stream. Maybe I'll tweak a bit and then upload this on my Instagram. If you're here, thank you so much for joining this live stream. It was great fun creating this. So my last image was of Batman here. Please load. And this is the second one of Doctor Strange. I hope you liked what you saw here. Thank you for joining. And also, before I forget, I have a book called Creating Characters, which is my whole process. It doesn't include coloring, but it's my whole thought process of what goes into character drawing and creating your own original characters. And that is available on my shop. You'll find a link in the description, or just DM me on Instagram. Check it out. Check out the book. It has I have put a lot of work and thought into creating it. And thank you for joining me today. And you will see the announcement of my next live stream on Instagram, so follow me there. And this is Sketched Up 20 Rahul signing off for today. Bye bye.